so we have Fpweb.net up next. Chris, we have to thank Fpweb actually, because they actually host our SharePoint conference sites as well, which is wonderful. So we're about to hear some great stuff.
Sure. So as introduced, I'm Chris Schwab with Fpweb.net. We do SharePoint hosting, which is essentially SharePoint in the cloud, right? So what we typically describe our services, our company in general, as are these this concept of having heroes for hire. So today we don't really have a product to demo, really, because this is more of a service. Today we're going to talk about kind of that concept of having a hero for hire and how that can come into play in a really time-sensitive situation, such as a natural disaster. So what's the problem? When natural disaster hits, one of the first things we see is all the infrastructure, right? You just see it's devastated. So whether that's technology, such as computers or data centers, networking devices, or maybe it's even power lines, communication lines, those are the first things that are hit, and those are the things that we really need to see back in place very quickly for businesses to get back up and running, for people to be able to coordinate while they're on the ground, which is really, from a SharePoint technology perspective, that's what SharePoint does best, right? The collaboration is right at the core. So if we can get that technology back in the hands of these people, we can really expedite this whole process of the recovery that goes on. But the problem is the people that are local to these situations, they're also affected, right? So they've got families and friends. They're trying to basically pick up the pieces of their lives and put it all back together. So how are we going to get this in the hands of the people that need it? So the solution is this SharePoint in the cloud, this idea of heroes for hire, right? So we can use the same concept that's coming in from a corporation, and all the other things that we get from having this hosted SharePoint and this quick deployment process. And we can put that in place when this disaster strikes. So whether or not, maybe it's a large organization such as Red Cross, who's trying to do some sort of collaboration process between their local people on the ground and some sort of regional offices that are trying to get some sort of resources to the area. Maybe it's even something like the local businesses. They're just trying to get some sort of systems back online while they work to repair what happened to the rest of their systems. So we can spin up some sort of temporary sites for those businesses. Even sometimes it's the local people that are just trying to organize themselves, come into the area and just try to provide some relief themselves. We just saw a situation just like that. A tornado hit really close to our home in Joplin, Missouri, in the United States. And what happened was all these people flooded to the area, but they didn't really know where to go. So some of them would all show up in spots, and there was too many of them to really do any good. But there was other locations where people really needed to be able to tell, hey, we need some help over here, and be able to shift these people around. But they didn't really have a good way to do that and organize that labor. So one of the real-world examples that we've got is Hurricane Katrina in 2005. We were able to come in and provide sites to organizations such as FEMA, the Red Cross, Homeland Security, even local businesses, to be able to get temporary sites back up and running so that they can coordinate how are they going to keep the doors open, right? So that their employees, when they're going through this crisis process, how are they going to still have some sort of jobs left? How are they going to figure out who can make it into work that day? How can they still keep everything rolling along while they repair their main systems? My last slide's on there. So the solution, no matter if it's an emergency situation, or maybe it's just as simple as a business solution, or maybe it's even an emergency business solution. The Fpweb SharePoint heroes for hire.
We'll be stunned by that closing. That's right. Do you fly as well?
I didn't fly. Okay, I want to jump.
Jump, okay. Just got a high stage. Yeah. What was on the last slide?
It was just our solutions.
Cool. So what you're mostly focused on is helping other organizations recover from disasters that hit their data centers. That's the main question. So what do you guys do to protect your data centers from disasters?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question because we are on one of the major fault lines there where we're located. But the idea of this SharePoint in the cloud is not that it's is that it's untied to really some sort of a location. So yes, it has to physically exist somewhere, but there's lots of different clouds that can be integrated inside of. If you watched Mark Miller's presentation yesterday, this idea of having a hybrid type situation. So maybe that main data center is running out of something like ours, but it's failed over to something more like an Amazon cloud, or even the data is back up to some sort of local facility, or in the States we have a company called Iron Mountain that provides this off-site storage capabilities. So we can integrate and do some sort of a hybrid model like that, because we all know SharePoint in itself doesn't really replicate out very well. So we have to use a lot of other technologies to do that. But you can integrate a lot of different cloud services to these things.
That's part of your hero service.
Absolutely.
Well, I noticed you put forward a few emergency situations. Those things are unfortunately do happen from time to time. A form, more likely for my business might be if I was printing t-shirts, and I know I've got this brand new t-shirt coming out, and the day it's going to go live, I'm going to need 20 times more capacity than I use on a day-to-day basis. Does your solution, your cloud, offer the ability to scale out on demand so that I can get that?
Yeah, so we can either scale that from 0. So let's just say you don't even have a solution in place for that, and you need to spin one up. We can do that. A typical turnaround for something like that is about 5 business days. We can usually cut that down to 1 to 2 if we need to. Maybe it's just something as easy as you have a 1 web front end, and now you need 4. That's just going to take us basically a matter of hours. All of our builds are scripted out. Everything gets deployed very quickly. We have capacity on demand. We don't need to wait for things to get shipped in. So yeah, it's really just a matter of hours to be able to expand that.
And could I distribute multiple geographic locations where I load balance or something like that if I had customers all over the world?
Yes, we could do something like that either again with our data centers, or we can interact with other people's data centers as well.
Thank you, Fpweb.net.